Hi, everybody. It is good to be with you this day. Our scripture lesson this morning. Oh, by the way, I wanted to do something else. David, welcome to all you people here, all you current members and visitors and friends. And I just think it's so appropriate today to say, hi, David, welcome back. Our scripture today is found in Luke's Gospel, 12th chapter, beginning in verse 13. Someone in the crowd said to him, Teacher, tell my brother to divide the inheritance with me. And Jesus replied, Man, who appointed me a judge or an arbiter between you? Then he said to them, Watch out, be on your guard against all kinds of greeds. Life does not consist in an abundance of possessions. And he told them this parable. The ground of a certain rich man yielded an abundant harvest. He thought to himself, What shall I do? I have no place to store all my crops. Then he said, This is what I'll do. I will tear down my barns and build bigger ones, and there I will store my surplus grain. And I'll say to myself, You have plenty of grain laid up for many years. Take life easy, eat, drink, and be merry. But God said to him, You fool, this very night your life will be demanded from you. Then who will get what you have prepared for yourself? This is how it will be with whoever stores up things for themselves, but is not rich towards God. Let us pray. Father, as we gather for these few moments here, I would just ask that your Holy Spirit would be here in this place. That your Holy Spirit would speak through me. That your Holy Spirit would help each one of us to hear the message that you want us to hear. In Jesus' name, Father. Amen. It was England. It was in the mid-1700s. The nation was a mess. It was stratified. It had the aristocracy, the wealthy merchants, and they formed this group up here. And virtually everybody else was down on the bottom. Many of them could not find a way to make enough money to even subsist. Many of them went into debt, and when they couldn't pay their debt, the solution was throw them into debtors' prison, which was literally a hellhole on earth. About this time, out in Oxford, England, the home of that renowned school that we think so much about today, was a young individual who had just returned from America as a failure in ministry. And he took up his position again at Oxford as what they called a don. He was a teacher. His pay was his room and his board and a few dollars to spend, or in their case, a few pounds. And John Wesley, still struggling to try to figure out what it was to be a disciple of God, having been influenced on his voyage back from America by a group called the Moravians, gathered around him his brother, Charles, and several of the other students and faculty members. And their purpose was to come together in a small study group kind of an environment to figure out what the scriptures were really speaking to them and how it was they were supposed to live this life that God put in their hands. They were looking for systems, ways to live. In fact, it was so different than what was going on at the university that many of the other students and faculty members came up with a term for them that was considered not too flattering. They called them Methodists, because they were looking for the method. John was an Anglican priest, never did leave the Anglican Church to us Episcopalian. But he took that name and he said, not too bad, that's what we're doing. And instead of it being a term that he did not like, it became a term that he did like, and eventually became a movement that we here in the United States now know as the Methodist Church. But this group, as they came together to study, really came to the point in time of what is it we are supposed to be doing? And they encountered this passage and several others. And after careful study of the Bible and prayer, they came up with an idea. And the idea was centered around make, say, give. 3 simple words. But it had changed their whole way of thinking. Make was quite straightforward. In fact, it was sort of a surprise to most of us today, because John said, what you're supposed to do is make all you can. That sort of looks like it's in contrary to this rich man and his crops. But they understood that the issue wasn't in the making. Make all you can. God has given you gifts and graces and skills, and He expects you to use them. Some of you have skills that allow you to make more than others. Don't be jealous. Some of you have skills that are a little bit further down the academic pole. But John was saying it does not matter what your abilities are. Make all you can. In fact, today, even though I find it somewhat repulsive, I'm certain that John would not condemn the $23 million salaries that some of our executives are getting. You don't know how hard that was to say. But the issue is, it isn't in the making of it. The issue is, what do they do with it? Oh, that's simple. We buy a yacht. We buy a plane. We buy a mansion. No. Make all you can. Save all you can. You see, the idea was that if you make it, you shouldn't spend it frivolously. You shouldn't spend it on the latest toy. So you can't hear this with my proclivity of toys, okay? You should save the money for something else. And that's indeed what came out of this. You make it, you save it, you give it. Now, there's nothing wrong with our desire to provide for our future. Nothing wrong with our desire to make certain that in retirement we can live and we don't end up in the modern day version of that issue. But the issue comes down to how much do we need to live, how much do we need to provide for our family, and how much should we give away? Now, many of us that tithe look at this situation and say, I've got this figured out. I give 10% of my income to the church, and that satisfies this. No, it doesn't. The 10% you give to the church is a biblical share that you give to keep the church running, the ministry going. But many of us can afford more than the 10%. I don't know what you can afford. It's not my business. Well, what is my business as a speaker to the gospel is encourage you to take a look at your finances. Are you giving all you can? England, a nation of deep poverty, no welfare systems, a total and complete mess at the time, was in the matter of a few short years bootstrapped. Schools were started. Children were educated. Industry started to bloom. Easy for me to say. All without government welfare, because it didn't exist then. You see, God's plan for life is that God's people should take care of God's people. It's not that God's people are just fellow Methodists. God's people are all of the creation on this planet. And it's up to us to see the things that need to be done and contribute to it. For 10 years, I was privileged to be the head of a mission agency, my last official capacity before I retired. And we understood that our job was to be somewhat like the church and spread the gospel. But we also understood that our job was to open hospitals, open schools, take care of the poor, and help them find out who they were. I'll never forget that day that I was out to a village. Sue was with me, with a nurse from one of our hospitals. And we were just walking through this little village, and she spots this woman holding this small child. The child was spindly of legs, obviously malnutrition. And mother was holding on to her as much as she could to try to care for her. And this nurse went over and started asking questions. The child was mentally handicapped. And mentally handicapped in that society at that time meant that they were outcasts. The child was an outcast, so mom was an outcast. And what do you do about that? This nurse, this missionary, scooped that child up in her arms, grabbed the mother, and brought her back to our hospital and to the village. And within a matter of a few months, that child was no longer spindly legs, arms. That child was full and flushing out. Oh, by the way, did I tell you that this small infant child was 3 years old? And malnutrition had stunted her for 3 years. You see, folks, the needs are great. And the only solution to the needs are not government programs. As much as we like them and as much as we do need them. But the real solution to the needs is to recognize what we have been given and use it for the benefit of others. You know something? In many respects, that's exactly what we're trying to do at Gossipy right now. If you have not gone out to Juanita, you ought to. Oh, don't just drive through as fast as you can. Check out the side streets. Look at the houses. An area in need. It's tempting for us as we take on that ministry to say we can't afford to do those kinds of things. There are better places for our money. There is no better place than to help somebody that's in need and help them to become somebody. I find it just a God work today that we have you with us. Your history of relatives that have fled from this country to start over, who there even faced persecution and rejection. And it's somebody reached into your family system, and here you are. That healthy, sharp young man who is due to be commissioned in the United States Army. and will go full-time employment. People someplace along the line took an interest and did something about what they encountered. And that is the message for today. Yep. Make all you can. Save all you can. But then give all you can. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Thank you, Dr. Phil. This is the real Dr. Phil here.